the Bloodhound Gang song? Lap dance is always better when the stripper cries. Did you ever hear that one?
No, I don't think I did. Wow.
Welcome back to the Project Gen X podcast. I am one of your hosts, Alan Smith, along with...
I'm the other guy who is extremely appalled, Big Dave.
The stuff that happens when right before we're getting ready to start recording.
It's like you purposely tried to fluster me.
It doesn't take that much.
No, it really doesn't.
So anyways, thanks for tuning in once again. Tuning in, whatever. What the hell am I saying? I am so out of it right now, man. I'm having an allergic reaction to something. My eyes all like messed up, and my nose is stopped up, and just like
you kind of look a little like the Toxic Avenger right now.
I'm telling you, it is. It's a combination of, and everybody I know who has allergies. Of course, living in Middle Tennessee is a terrible place to live if you have allergies.
Actually, if you live in Middle Tennessee,
you have
allergies.
You may, if you move to Middle Tennessee, you may not have ever had allergies prior to moving here, but as soon as you're here,
you will have an allergy assigned to you within the first 3 months.
What are you talking about? You will have all the allergies assigned to you within a couple months.
You're not wrong.
But everybody I know right now is just having horrible issues with their allergies, and I don't know. It's been for about a month now, and I don't know what's going on. This is the worst I remember it being ever, probably.
Part of it is because we've had such a wet July and
lot of
August.
That, yeah.
So stuff that's normally not blooming this time of year is blooming. Like my wife, Miss Nay saw goldenrod already, popping up.
Well, we're not even, we're 2 minutes in, hadn't even started talking about what we're going to talk about yet. But my yard needs to be mowed right now, and because there's been so much rain. It's just the rain hits, and it's just like my yard sprouts.
I finally got to mow Tuesday, and I had to go over the backyard 3 times, lowering the deck a little bit each time.
Now, the good thing about having such a wet summer means that all the leaves won't be off the trees in mid-September.
Yeah.
And
we'll actually have some fall color around here. We'll have some fall
color, which is always nice, because I hate whenever we just have like a dry summer.
Yeah.
And everything, literally, like all the leaves are off the trees by mid-September.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so we went ahead and jumped to that part of fall, okay? It's like, no, we like the colors. The colors are great, and it makes Oktoberfest so much better. So, speaking of Oktoberfest, we're kind of Oktoberfestive-y on this episode a little bit, because we're talking about fictional characters that
that's a stretch
with costumes. How about that? I'm still
stretching. You're reaching.
We are going to be talking about Showbiz Pizza Place.
I have a feeling this is in direct relation to George's comment in the grown-up Gen X panel they did at Southern Fried Gaming Convention.
I'll admit that gave me the idea for this. That it was one of those, I was like, we should talk about Showbiz Pizza Place, because I loved it. I want to thank George right now for helping create content for our podcast without even knowing it. And it's funny because this is actually a topic that a long time ago I had thought about. Hey, we should talk about this. You've talked
about doing this for a while.
And I didn't write it down, and I should know that if I don't write something down, I forget about it.
Yeah.
And of course I did. And then it was being at that panel this past weekend that I was like, we should talk about this. Plus the fact we're gonna that's
prove
something that Showbiz is the superior pizza place to because Chuck E. Cheese is just not. Dave, all right? So there is this. There's this documentary. I'm not going to say it's a great documentary. There's a documentary.
You can tell it was done by a couple guys with a VHS camcorder.
Yeah, and it was done in the 2008, 2007, 2008, somewhere around in there. It's called The Rockefeller Explosion. I saw it shortly after it was released.
Sure.
It's funny because it was one of those things that I had never even heard of it, and I forget exactly how like it came into my purview, but it was one of those things where it was like I was on iTunes and I saw like, okay, and I wound up buying it on iTunes, and I've still got it. Like, that's how I watched it last night.
Sure.
It, you know,
but the whole thing is on YouTube.
It is, and I found it on YouTube because I was trying to figure out how to get it to Dave to let him to watch it, and I went through and looked, and it's not available anywhere else, like anywhere else.
Yeah.
Other than purchasing it.
All I got to say is it does nothing.
And it's only like an hour and 12 minutes long. Yeah. It's not very long at all.
Right off the bat, it does nothing to help Deep South Southern stereotypes whatsoever.
No, it doesn't, because a good chunk of it takes place in Alabama and in eastern Alabama on top of it all. And it's just like, oh, wow, this, it's all on display here. So
well, you know, here in the South, we don't hide our crazy. We put it on the front porch.
Exactly, and show it for everybody. Yeah. So it's true. Who was it? It was Louis Grizzard. He was the one that coined that. He said, "Yeah, we put it in the parlor. What it was? We don't hide our crazy. We set it in the fancy chair in the parlor or something like. It's like it's something. You know, it was. There are many iterations of that saying.
And if you're listening to this, you don't know who Louis Grizzard is. You need to look it up, and you need to read some of his books.
Louis Grizzard was a. I don't know. Is he still alive?
I don't know.
Don't think he is. I'm pretty sure he died a while back.
Yes.
I guess I could look it up. But he was a humorist. He wrote for a lot of stuff. Yeah. He used to have a weekly news column, or it was
syndicated.
Yeah, it was a syndicated news column, and he did some stand up a little bit. You know, he was on Designing Women. Like, he was on a couple episodes. Yeah. Like, he was their, I can't remember if he was their brother or their cousin or something like that.
Yeah.
It was one of those. It was one of those. And I remember when I was he's dead. He died in 2019. Wow. He was 86 years old.
That's a good run.
Wow, I for some reason I thought he died like. Actually, I know who I'm thinking of.
Who
I'm
thinking
of Dave, the other syndicated columnist. Dave. Dave's World was based on it. That was Harry Anderson played him.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about. Dave.
Yeah.
Dave.
I can't pull it.
I can't. I'm not going to go look it up.
It's one of the many Daves. There are many of us.
Dave,
there are none like me, though.
It's going to hit me like midway through this thing, and I'm going to be like,
Rock of Fire
Explosion, not Express Explosion. The Rock of Fire Explosion. Okay,
forgive me. This is your childhood.
It really, and that's Dave hit me with some knowledge that I was not aware of. Go ahead.
I've never been to a Showbiz.
Wow,
and part of that was because of the way we moved around. And we were just never close to one. And if we were, my parents evidently hid it from me and never took me.
So you moved to...
I went from Kentucky
to you moved here in 90? Is that right?
90, 91, something like that.
I guess they had already switched over to Chuck E. Cheese by that point. Because the Chuck E. Cheese at Rivergate, like here, that was Showbiz Pizza place. From
that's always been
the early 80s until somewhere in the early 90s.
That's always been a Chuck E. Cheese.
Then it had not been that long.
And in fact, I had avoided being able to have to go to a Chuck E. Cheese.
I do not blame you for
until after I got married and my wife's cousin's kid had a birthday party.
Of course,
there.
Now my son has discovered Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh no!
And he likes to go, which I'm fine with it. But it's still one of those things like. I text my friend Rebel like I guess it was about a month ago.
Yeah.
I had Xander and he was like, I want to go to Chuck E. Cheese. Like, all right. And I texted her. I was like, I officially no longer want to have any more kids. I was like, I'm at Chuck E. Cheese, and she texted me. She's like, oh, I understand that completely.
Well, you know, if we had as you put it, the Superior Pizza place still open, that might.
Well, you know, it's funny now with COVID and everything. Like, they actually have the showroom closed down.
Yeah,
like you can't go sit there. Like, I think I tell you, like I take that back. Not the last time that I went, but the time before that, which has been in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
I've been a couple of times in the last couple of months because, like I said, my son all of a sudden discovered Chuck E. Cheese and was like, hey, and of course I'm sitting there, he's 7, and I'm trying, he's like, no, you don't understand. This place is not good. Daddy had a good pizza places. And he's like, I don't have any clue what you're talking about,
But like, I've seen pictures of the pizza that Showbiz served.
Yeah, they had better pizza. They had better everything.
I've actually had to eat some of the Chuck E. Cheese pizza.
Oh, it's terrible.
I don't know that you can technically classify that as pizza.
It's, and this is so hard. It's hard to comprehend, but it's true. It's one step below Little Caesars, which is
one step. No. I will actually eat Little Caesars. Well,
no.
pizza.
Look. We were talking about
Chuck E. Cheese is not edible. It's cardboard with
Little
some
Caesars,
ketchup on it.
Little Caesars deep dish pizza is wonderful.
It's pretty good.
It is. It's like
for a chain deep dish, it's not bad.
It's $8. Yeah, and like literally, like they have a drive-through like just around the corner from where I live here. So it's one of those things that is literally I can go on their app, order it, and go through the drive-through and pick it up.
Yeah,
and in like 10-15 minutes, and it's like, okay, this is awesome. But the rest of their pizza is terrible.
No, it's not great.
You got to get the deep. Pepperoni that we usually get, but the not Little Caesars, Chuck E. Cheese pizza is just, oh man, it's
cardboard
bad.
Ketchup.
It's thin. It's like, it's even thinner than like Pizza Huts. You used to get the thin, like the thin. Yeah. It's like even thinner than that, and it's just like, we were also discussing how Pizza Hut is not the same as it was when we were kids.
No.
And Pizza Hut used to actually be really good.
Well, and that was kind of growing up because I grew up in a lot of different places, but they also tended to be rural areas.
Yeah,
Pizza Hut was
everywhere.
Pizza Hut was kind of my
Pizza Hut was like Walmart.
Yeah, back in the day.
I mean, literally, Pizza Hut was one of those places you go into a small little town, they will have a Pizza Hut. Just like you go into a small little town, they'll have a Walmart.
Yeah. But Pizza Hut was kind of my Chuck E. Cheese, because they had, a cafe, Pac-Man.
Right.
They usually had one other game on it, and a lot of times it was like Galaga or something like that. They had a killer jukebox.
Yeah.
And you would go in and order a personal pan pizza, and they brought that out in a cast iron skillet like it was some kind of gourmet thing.
Right.
And as a kid, that was like, whoa.
Right. I know. We were so off of where we started on this thing. So anyways, this Chuck E. All right. We have to actually start with Chuck E. Cheese because Nolan Bushnell, who was a co-creator of Atari.
Yep.
When he left Atari, or when he was forced out of Atari, I guess I should say, went and started Chuck E. Cheese Pizza.
Well, it was
Chuck E. Cheese.
Was it Chuck E. Cheese?
Yeah, he is the founder of Chuck E. Cheese Pizza, pizza place or whatever. And it was one of those things where, and I know you did a little more of a deep dive on this type of stuff.
Yeah, because I wasn't as familiar with it as you.
Right,
you were.
And so since it's fresh on your mind, I'm gonna let you run with this one for a minute.
So yeah, it started in California. It was Chuck E. Cheese.
Right.
And
Showbiz came about.
Well, he started it by buying another pizza place. It was Party Time Pizza.
Yeah.
And
that's some of the characters came over a little bit.
I don't know about that.
That's I've seen a documentary about Nolan Bushnell where they talked about that. He bought this, and that even if they're not one for one it's still one of those where it's like, it was really close to this character. And I mean, it's like the whole Chuck E. Cheese thing, like being why would you want a rat as a
well, they're claiming
mascot.
They're claiming now that he's a mouse, but everybody knows he's a rat.
Yeah, and have you ever seen like the pictures of the original Chuck E. Cheese?
Yeah, he's a rat.
Were terrifying looking too.
Yeah, they were. He was a rat. But then he decided he wanted to franchise the thing to kind of expand it out and enter into the picture Holiday Inn franchisee who had a bunch of Holiday Inns. His name was Robert L. Brock, and he was about to sign a contract with Bushnell,
right,
to expand these things out. And then somebody introduced him, or he ran into the guy from creative engineering.
Yeah, Aaron.
Not creative engineering. Yeah, creative engineering.
Yeah, it's Aaron Fetcher. Is that his name?
Let me see if I can find his name.
I think it's Fector. Is what I'm It's. Yeah, and so creative engineering was doing animatronics.
Yes,
and they did really good work. Like, they did a bunch of stuff for
Aaron Fetcher.
That's what I thought it was, something like that. And they were in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, and they were about to sign a contract, and when Brock saw this, he broke off the contract with Bushnell and went over and got Aaron,
right,
and started Showbiz.
Right. And there was a lawsuit.
Yeah.
And
it was basically Showbiz was going to have to pay Chuck E. Cheese something like $50 million over 10 years.
Right. It was a pretty large.
Yeah.
But
which explains why they were having financial issues.
Yes, and that's the other thing, is that Showbiz Pizza Place, I think they opened they opened 200 and some odd.
The first one was in like Kansas City, Missouri, or something. Yeah,
it is. But the thing is that over almost a decade, they opened over 200 restaurants, 240 some odd stores, whatever. Yeah. But the problem is none of them were profitable. Well, because it was the overhead was just killing them, especially the startup
and the startup on the animatronics.
Right, the animatronics was dude. And we'll get to the animatronics here in a minute, because that's actually pretty. The way they did all it was really cool. He created all that stuff. And so he created the Rock of Fire Explosion, which is the band that would be there. So you had Billy Bob, who was the mascot for Showbiz Pizza Place, essentially. Like, he was the face, like, as Chuck E. Cheese is the face of Chuck E. Cheese, obviously. Billy Bob was that same, where somebody would put on a Billy Bob costume and walk around, and take pictures with kids and all that kind of stuff. A lot of times it
was Aaron Fletcher. When they would go open the
openings,
store,
he would come in and do it. Yeah,
that's because he was also the voice for him.
Yeah,
I think.
And they did. They recorded everything in Orlando, like in their studio. Like they did everything. They made the molds. They did the costumes. They recorded all the songs. They wrote and recorded all the songs.
All the airbrushing.
Everything was done there. It's pretty spectacular that all of that was done in-house like that. I mean, that's pretty cool. In this doc, and in the Rock of Fire Explosion documentary, he's got a picture of him with Michael Jackson, where at one point he had come to Orlando to see where it was all done and everything. And I thought that's pretty cool. That's it makes perfect sense, especially
given who Michael Jackson was.
And the Peter Pan syndrome and everything. So they did all that stuff there. So the Rock of Fire Explosion, you had Fats, the gorilla,
who was the piano player. He
played the piano and kind of the lead singer of whatever. You had Beach Bear, who was the guitar player.
Yep.
You had Duke LaRue, who was the drummer. You had Mitzi, who was a female singer. She was it's so funny because all the rest of these, they're all doing something.
Yeah.
But she was dressed like a cheerleader and had pom poms and would just kind of move around, and she was it.
A backup dancer and vocalist.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you had Billy Bob, who played guitar and sang, and then you also had it wasn't Tookie Bird, it was
No, that's
that Tookie Bird was something else. It was
that's
something
from a
bird.
Local radio
it was
station.
But there was a bird that was a character there, and
Let
then
me
there
see
was
if I can find
and then there was
them all
another.
here.
There was another. Hold on, I've got it right here. Here we go.
Duke LaRue was a drummer, though. I think
yes, he was.
He was.
He was the drummer. Okay, so you had Billy Bob Broccoli. That's his name. Okay. You had Fats Geronimo. You had Mitzi Mozzarella. You had Beach Bear. You had Duke LaRue. Rolf and Earl was kind of a comedy duo type. He was kind of like a ventriloquist, type thing. Looney Bird was the name of it.
Oh, gotcha.
Then there was another one. Choo Choo came on later. And then there was also a Sun and a Moon. They were just called Sun and Moon. They were background stuff, which I always thought was pretty cool. That they would the sun was over behind Duke, And like it would come up, and then the moon was over behind Mitzi, and it would come up from time to time.
Okay. Yeah.
This is all stuff I remember as a kid, like just being fascinated with this stuff. There were also some. All right, I'm just going to read. I'm at showbizpizza.com, which is a great.
Oh, I kind of perused that
source
website.
On this where they have it. There was another one that was called Uncle Clunk. That was. It says here. I'm reading this straight from their website. It says Uncle Clunk was the first new character to be introduced to the Rock-afire Explosion by Creative Engineering. It says Clunk was quite a strange character that was described as an abomination in shows, but beneath his goofy and bizarre persona, he was the most sophisticated animatronic character ever produced. Okay. Said he was designed to be a wacky talk show host.
Okay.
Clunk was originally voiced by, that's Jeff, that's a musician who helped form the... It says here that he was met with mixed reactions, first from Showbiz Pizza Place and later by the customers.
Yeah. By the way, the guy who runs that website is one of the guys that they interviewed in the documentary.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah. Also, as a side note, Aaron from Creative Engineering is also the guy who invented the whack-a-mole machine.
Oh, nice. Aaron Fetcher, is that his name?
Something like that.
Fector, that's his name. Aaron Fector is an interesting dude. Just from in the documentary, like he's probably the most interesting character, but he's also like.
It's one of those things to where you can tell he's got a lot going on upstairs. He's probably one of these.
He's kind of socially awkward, and
he's so smart. He has no social skills whatsoever.
And you can tell that, like, the way that he talks is just like when he's talking about something, like when he's talking about all the showbiz stuff, he's just super excited. I mean, it's just, anytime he's talking about any of the stuff that he's worked on over the years, and he even talks about, like, when he graduated college in the 70s, like, he decided he was going to go create a car that got good gas mileage because, it's like, what 22-year-old says, hey, I'm going to go invent a fuel-efficient car?
Yeah,
it's one of those things where he's just like, oh well, I'm gonna go do this now, and that's what I'm gonna do. And even they talked about like the way that he got into doing this, that he was selling
pool cleaners
that he had invented. Yeah. He had invented a pool cleaner, and a guy was the what's his name that we already talked about,
Brock.
He went to his door and he was like, so you're an inventor, do you think you could invent something for a amusement park, like an animatronic stuff. And he's like,
shooting range.
Yeah, it was a shooting range. That's what it was. He's like, yeah, okay, sure. And he's like, I'd never done that before in my life, so I went home and started learning how to do it.
He's like, I had no idea how to do it.
It's just I figured decided. He's like, hey, I'll figure it out, and then did it. Yeah. and then eventually did all this other stuff.
He's one of those guys.
Yeah. And it's just like. And of course, he went to engineering school and everything, so he had it wasn't just I got an idea, I'll go figure it out. It's like no, he had the smarts, and the knowledge to go with it.
He had the smarts. He went and got the training.
Right, and and he's an interesting character.
Definitely a character who ended up marrying a
much younger woman
who worked at a Showbiz, who was a big, huge fan of Showbiz
and the Rock-afire Explosion. So it's an interesting, like I said, there are a few other people who are in this documentary that are kind of. It's really Aaron and it's
Thresher.
That what's his first name? I can't remember his first name. Is it Jeff?
Let me see if I don't know that I can find it.
Yeah, I know it. That one might be difficult, but and he's kind of the other because he had loved Showbiz Pizza Place as a kid, and so he as an adult he went and found out that there were still these Rock-afire Explosion shows that were available, and so he got in touch with Aaron and was like, hey, can I buy one of these? And he wound up buying it and setting up a place for them on his property in Alabama. And then he went and programmed new songs into them.
Well, Thresher
and put them on.
Well, Thresher figured out how to do the programming on them. It was Thresher himself that
right. That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. He programmed new ones and then put the videos on YouTube. And this is back when YouTube was still kind of in its infancy.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, they were like, oh yeah, they get like 1 million views, which these days that's nothing. But
it's like he had the Rockefeller doing
Hey There Delilah.
Hey There Delilah.
Several different things.
Bubba Sparks, Miss New Booty.
Yeah.
Which was surreal in and of itself.
That was really funny. But it's one of those things where it's like, and still he's sitting there using like an old Apple computer.
Apple IIe.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm sitting there looking at all this stuff. And even like when they're they're in Orlando at creative, engineering, it's still all of this early 80s tech that they're working with, which is really cool. The thing that I thought was really interesting, I don't know if you caught it or not, is that their triggers were like doorbells.
Yeah.
I know. I was like, wow, that is, and like 80s doorbells. It was like the
big brass.
rectangular, the rectangular, like up, and it's like, wow, that is, and like they're literally like, it was just so wild to see all this stuff. Like, no, they created that out of nothing.
Yeah, they did.
And,
yeah, they did.
But so it's like I said, it's an interesting documentary. At the end of the doc, Thresher opens a Showbiz Pizza zone, him and his wife.
Yeah.
And
put his
fireside
explosion.
Dave found out some more of the story. Now this was in 2009, or it was in 2009 when he opened the place.
Yeah. And in 2010, it was 2010. It didn't last very long.
No.
He had to shut it down, and he sold his show back to Aaron, who then sold it to an amusement park in South Korea.
Okay. I know, because did you catch, there was one of them that he was working on where he did some modifications on it that he was, did you catch where he was sending it to?
No.
He was sending it to Jordan.
Oh,
yeah,
the country.
Yeah,
because he
kept talking about it, and like they had changed fats a little bit,
No, not a little bit. They completely reskinned him.
They put him like
toned.
a lighter. Yeah, exactly. He wasn't the the black gorilla fur. It was a kind of a almost blonde in a lot of ways. But it's one of those things. Apparently, internationally, again, if you go over to showbizpizza.com, they have a one of their things that's in here is like international, because they have, let's see, where is it? Where'd it go?
It's around here somewhere.
It is, man. I am so out of it right now. It's not even funny. I am.
I'm right there with you.
Apparently, there's another place called Bullwinkle's.
Oh, there's a bunch of places out there
that have this kind of like, okay.
I want to point one out in particular.
Okay.
Because we've already talked about a certain movie on here, Willy's Wonderland.
Willy's Wonderland, yes.
Well, in watching this documentary and going and kind of doing a deeper dive into some of the locations, there is a place in West Virginia called Billy Bob's Wonderland that has one of the Rockfire Explosion shows. And I'm thinking the guy who wrote the movie must have
absolutely
come across this establishment at some point.
Hearing that, of course, like I said, there was a Showbiz. There were a couple of Showbiz pizzas around. There was one at Hickory Hollow, and there was one here at Rivergate. They were near the malls, The one at Hickory Hollow closed a long time. I think they actually closed rather than converting over to Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
This Chuck E. Cheese is still operating over here somehow. But I remember that wasn't the first Chuck E. Cheese that we got here in Nashville. In the mid 80s, one moved in over on Murfreesboro Road, like over where you would get off at off Bradley Parkway in Murfreesboro Road, like
down there close to Bennigan's or something.
No, it was like literally like right there when you got off on it. Was right there.
Okay.
I don't know what's in there. I think it's a storage place, like a self-storage place now.
Yeah.
There was a haunted house in there for years, and just type of stuff. It didn't last long, like maybe a year or something like that. I went there one time, and I remember my parents going there, and being like, what in the hell is this thing? I mean, it was just, it was bad. It was, it was like dark inside, and I mean like lighted, like the way that it was lit was just like it was like.
Well, it was to make the graphics on the video games pop,
I guess, but it was like in a lot of ways it was kind of like walking into an arcade, you know, that kind of stuff. Because I remember, and we'll get to the Showbiz Pizza of it all in here because I have all kinds of memories around this place. But I do remember that Chuck E. Cheese only lasting like a year, and then it was gone.
Yeah.
And then when Chuck E. Cheese took over Showbiz, several,
no.
later.
Let's get into this.
All right, sorry.
So these two are competing.
And there was a lawsuit.
Which evidently did not help Chuck E. Cheese at all because Chuck E. Cheese had to file for bankruptcy.
Yes.
They were going out of business, and Chuck E. Cheese got bought up by Brock and Showbiz Pizza.
Yep.
And they were actually the same company competing side by side.
Yep.
And according to Aaron in the documentary, they were brought in new people. They were figuring out how to trim the fat,
right?
Figuring out how to trim the company down. And one of the things they decided is the animatronics were too expensive. And according to him,
right, they
said, you need to give us the copyright and the rights to the entire show, and we'll give you, no, there wasn't even an offer of money. It's you
just need to give it to us.
You need to give it to us.
This branding is here, and he basically told them to screw themselves.
And it was basically, if you give us the rights and all that, your show will actually still live on. Your characters will still live on. If you don't give them to us, we'll kill them.
Right.
And he was like, screw you guys. I'll figure it out myself. And that's when they consolidated everything over to Chuck E. Cheese and started redressing his animatronics.
Yes, and that's one of the things in the stock. They have some, like the video that they sent out to the different stores of like how to switch them over from Rocket Fire Explosion into whatever the bastardized Chuck E. Cheese version of it was.
The Chuck E. Cheese and Munch
something,
magical
band. But the thing is they really didn't do
like
a whole lot. Like rather than than Fats being a gorilla, they basically just kept the same. All the internal, everything was the same, and they just reskinned it with like a purple and yellow something. That's like some kind of fantasy character or something. It's really weird the way that they did all that stuff. They and what was another thing is I remember with this one over here at Rivergate is that Billy Bob stuck around for a long time even after it was Chuck E. Cheese.
Yes,
and then eventually they got rid of him completely. But I do remember that one character sticking around. I'm like, but Billy Bob is Showbiz Pizza. He's not Chuck E. Cheese. I don't know if that was just that store or if they kept that character somehow or something. I don't know. It was weird.
Mention of it. They're probably like, oh, we've already got these walk around costumes. We might as well use them.
I mean, like the animatronic stayed there for a long time. Yeah, like it stayed on that right-hand stage for the longest time.
That's weird.
And then they eventually switched it out for Chucky, because he took over that spot. There was and it's not there any longer, there was a bowling alley off of Charlotte, like on the other side of town, the west part of Nashville.
Yeah, there's an at-home there now.
Yeah, and they had the Rocket Fire Explosion there for many years. Now, it didn't work. It just sat there. And there was the Nashville Scene actually did a write-up on it. I don't know. It's been over a decade ago.
Sure.
And I remember like reading, and basically the guy who bought it, that owned the place, bought it because his son was a big fan of that whenever he was a kid or whatever. And he was like, it worked for a couple of years and it stopped working. And then we just kind of left it there, but people would still want to come in and take pictures of it and that kind of stuff. I don't know if it's still floating around Nashville anywhere or if it's gone now. But even in that article, like I said, this article came out in probably 2007, 2008, 2009, somewhere around in that, before I saw this documentary. And I remember him saying that, he had many people offer to buy it and that kind of stuff. He's like, no, as long as I can, But that place is gone now, so I often wonder whatever happened to that particular animatronic, because...
It's not like if he hadn't have called Aaron would have come up here. He would come up here and completely refurbished it.
More like, but then again, you get into the whole, you don't know if he knew Aaron, because he said that he bought it when the places were shutting down. He made an offer and they were like, yeah, go ahead. So that was kind of the last little bit of Showbiz Pizza here. I want to go into my own memories of this.
Absolutely.
A little bit, because...
Take it away.
I remember the very first time I walked into a Showbiz Pizza place. It was in Huntsville, Alabama. It must have been 1981 or 82, 83 maybe at the very latest.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't even have been. It had to have been like 80 or 81, somewhere around in there, because I was still like 6, 7 years old.
Okay.
Somewhere in that. The reason, like, I have family that lives in Huntsville, and my dad was doing some work down there for his brother lives down there.
Sure.
Was helping them, and he was starting a new business, and he was doing some work, helping out like this. And he came back talking about this place that had video games and and this is like right when video games were kind of becoming like
mainstream.
Not even just mainstream, just like starting to enter the public consciousness. Because you got to remember, like, Pac-Man came out in 81.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, in 1980, and then. But, Asteroids and Pong had been around for a little. Pong especially had been around for a while. But
Which
it was one of those,
an Atari game,
right? Exactly,
from Bushnell,
right? But it was one of those things that, like, I remember the first time seeing a Pac-Man machine was at a you may or may not remember, it was Zare's department store.
Oh no, I totally remember Zare's.
Yeah, and so the one that we had here locally, like me and my parents were in there one night, and we were walking out. And I'm like, hey, what's this thing? And I'm over there looking at it, and was just mesmerized of, all the lights and the sounds and everything. And nobody was. It was just like on the demo screen. It wasn't even like actually playing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to play this. And I remember they were like, no, come on, we got to go. But going into that Showbiz Pizza in Huntsville, Alabama, because they got one before we did.
Sure.
Used to, Huntsville would get a lot of stuff before we would.
Yeah.
That's flipped now, because it was kind of, at the time they were probably they're a lot closer in size to us, but also the fact that there were so many, like, engineering and NASA was located there.
Oh, yeah.
Or and all that kind of stuff. Had all these like defense contractors, all that kind of stuff. It's the reason they call it Rocket City, USA.
Yeah. And it's still like that.
I know, and so it's one of those that they would get a lot of test stuff before we would. A lot of different restaurants.
Send it to the engineering geeks. They'll get this.
So, and my uncle really loved like video games and that kind of stuff. He was what still is a real computer geek, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it was really cool of like my dad coming back and being like, yeah, this place is kind of cool, So I remember us going down there one weekend and walking into that place the first time, and just my 6-7 year old
sensory overload.
It was complete sensory overload to the point where I remember being overwhelmed by everything.
Now we know where your love for Las Vegas started.
Yeah, something like that. And also the fact that, like, all of a sudden it was like, hey, of course we didn't have an Atari yet, but my aunt and uncle had another one of my aunts and uncles had one. Yes, my cousin David, who was a few years older than me, they had one. I remember playing it there. We did have one of the old Pong, like, that you hooked up to your TV,
you
games.
Had the paddles.
Yeah,
I remember playing that.
We had one of those like way back, so that was a lot of fun. Of course, I was really angling trying to get an Atari, but this was a whole different thing. These games were a lot more sophisticated than the Atari, and of course one fed the other over time. I remember when Showbiz Pizza opened here, which was probably about a year later. 82, 83, somewhere around in there.
Yeah.
And I had several birthday parties there because that was like their big thing,
Lucky you.
I went to a lot of birthday parties there. My cousin, Jessica, she's 5 years younger than me. She had a ton of birthday parties at Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah. I mean, at Showbiz Pizza.
The best I ever got was Ronald McDonald Land, where you'd have a birthday party at McDonald's, and they would force the employees to put on the costumes of, like,
back when they had the playground and everything. Yeah.
No, this was before the playground.
Oh, that's right. That
this is when you could still smoke in McDonald's.
You remember the little the tinfoil
and
it had like the little M in the middle of it.
That's the era of McDonald's I'm talking about. You could sit there and eat your Big Mac and smoke.
Yep. Well, that was
while the kids are having the birthday party in the back.
And that was Chuck E. Cheese. Not Chuck E. I keep saying Chuck E. Cheese. Showbiz Pizza and Chuck E. Cheese both allowed smoking inside. They served beer. Like that was a thing, you know. Yeah. So it's. I have tons and tons. I remember playing that is where I played the sit-down Star Wars game. You know, the vector graphics.
Nice.
You know, they had the sit-down version of it. You know, that's where I played all kinds of games for the first time.
See, I've only ever been able to play the stand-up version of that. It's not the same.
It's not the same. And it's on my bucket list of if I ever have a lot of money, I will own one of those. But that will be just a complete no, I am going to own this. I don't care how much it costs me, type thing. I remember playing Moon Patrol and I mean just all Zaxxon and like all of these games. That's where Skee Ball, of course, because Skee Ball is like a huge thing. That was of course you'd get tickets and you could save up the tickets. It's like Chuck E. Cheese now, except they actually had a lot more branded stuff than what Chuck E. Cheese has now. You would be able to get like a Billy Bob doll
it was totally Showbiz branded.
Absolutely everything.
Because I remember
everything.
seeing friends that had like the stuff at their house. I'm like, where'd you get that?
Everything was Showbiz branded.
We had to drive 3 hours to so and so to go to Showbiz.
Now, the only bit of Showbiz anything that I have left. And this is something that I did not carry with me. This is something that, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, whenever I was doing the flea market, we had opened our store and everything. We bought a bunch of stuff, and this was in there. And I was like, no, that's going in my collection.
Sure.
These 45 records.
Oh, sweet. Of the Rockafire.
The Rockafire Explosion. And look at, like, the back. One of them's Fats, and one of them's Duke. And this is actually I'll put pictures of this up on our Instagram when it goes live. There are actually 4 records here that were put in the same sleeves.
Nice.
These two right here. These is the birthday. There's one side is Happy Birthday. The second side is Do You Love Me? And this is all Rockafire Explosion doing this. It's funny. The Do You Love Me? It says featuring Beach Bear. And then the other one is just Birthday, which I think is the original birthday song that they were doing on the documentary.
Yeah.
And then the second, the B-side for this one is Heartaches. It says featuring Duke. So that means Duke Ledoux got to sing on that one.
Nice.
And then this other two that I have here, and I love this. So this one's Fats, okay?
Okay.
One of them, the B side is Mr. Bassman. I don't know what that is, but it says Fats and Billy Bob.
Yeah.
But the other one is called Banana Hill, and it's obviously Blueberry Hill, and Fats Domino. And then there is School Days featuring Fats. That's up in the morning and off to school,
Yeah.
And then Catch a Wave is the other one. It doesn't say who it's featuring.
I bet it's Beach Bear.
I'm pretty sure it probably is. So yeah, I have these, and I will take pictures of them and make sure that they go up on. They're not, of course, they're not in the best of shape. Anyway, it's funny right here. This one still has a sticker on it. It has the price sticker. How much do you think in let's say right here 1981? How much do you think a 45 of Fats the Gorilla singing School Days would go for?
And it's got 2 records.
No, they only had one.
They only
came with one. The second record is the rest of these are obviously whoever had these before only had 2 of the
covers.
The covers, because you can also see that like one of these covers in the back has Duke and the other one has Fats. So there were other. There's one that had Mitzi. There was one that had Billy Bob. There was one.
I'm gonna say $1.99.
You're close. $1.69.
That's not bad.
Yeah. I remember, and that's.
What store was that?
It says Showbiz Pizza on it. That's what it says. You could buy them at Showbiz Pizza Place.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And I don't ever remember seeing any of those sold outside of Showbiz Pizza. They may have. Who knows? I mean, you never know.
I gotta find a 45 adapter now.
Yeah, no. That's the thing. I don't have a 45 adapter and yours does have one.
Does it?
Yeah, it comes with one.
I haven't opened the box on it yet. I've been trying to clean a place out to set the thing up.
Yeah, and I know because it used to be mine. It does have a 45 adapter on it.
Well, you may have to come to the house to listen to your records then.
Yeah. So that, and of course, the whole thing with like the skee ball was that
I love skee ball.
You would play and you would get tickets and you could turn the tickets in for it, which obviously, of course, it was tokens. It wasn't, it was not quarters. It was tokens because that way they have your money.
Yep.
And yes, around here somewhere I have some Showbiz / Chuck E. Cheese tokens somewhere. When Showbiz Pizza went away, that was still, it was kind of like when Toys R Us went away.
Yeah,
where it was like, oh man, that's a big chunk of my childhood is gone now.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that when Chuck E. Cheese first took over, it kind of stayed the same as far as the arcade games and everything in there, but over time they all became redemption games of some sort. Where it's, and even now, like you go over there are no arcade games like we think of. It literally is. It's like, oh look, here's a coin drop, or here's playing skee ball. Now I do love going and playing the basketball, the shootout game. I love them. I could stand there all day and play. I'm actually still pretty good at skee ball also.
I used to be able to hit the 2 holes in the upper
I never even
right.
bothered with those because I got to the point where I could hit that 100 at the very top every time. Like I could hit it almost every time, and if I missed it, I would catch the 50 right below it. I mean, it was just I got that good.
I figured out how to take that ball. I haven't been able to do it in years. It was back when I was playing it a lot, to where I could take that thing.
You had to put a spin on it.
You put a spin on it, and you would angle it so it would catch the wall right at the ramp,
and then bounce all the way across.
And it would bounce all the way across, hit the back wall, and in that hole.
Right. And but I'm going to tell this story.
Is this family friendly?
It's family friendly.
Okay, just checking. You never know with you.
So when I turned 27, okay?
Yeah.
We were hanging out, me and my girlfriend at the time, I would go on to marry later. So you know exactly who I'm talking about. We were hanging out at my parents' house. My dad was like, "Hey, it's your birthday. Where do you want to go to? Where do you want to go to?" And I was like,
I already see where this is going.
I want to, because it was Chuck E. Cheese by that point. I was like, I want to go to Chuck E. Cheese, and he was like, No, seriously, I want to go to Chuck E. Cheese. So we wound up going to Chuck E. Cheese Pizza and eating pizza and whatever. And so we got finished. Played games and stuff. Of course, she was kind of like,
did you get the dollar windmill machine?
But she was kind of like, I cannot believe you're wanting to do this, type thing.
Yeah.
So we're walking back over to the table where my parents are sitting,
Yeah.
And Chuck E. Cheese comes walking through. Like, they always have somebody that's in, and quite honestly, Chucky started hitting on her. I mean, like, whoever was in the, whatever. I'm like,
did Ricky Rat grab her butt?
No, but it was one of those things where he kept, flirting. They don't talk, but they were flirting. And the thing is, it might not even have been a guy that was in there. I don't know. It may have just been one of those things where it was just whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll sell her to you for tokens. And she looked at me like, what? I'm like, 200 right now.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, well, you had to understand that. Dave laughs because he understands that relationship. It was just, she didn't let me live that down for years after that. Like, you were trying to sell me to Chuck E. Cheese. It's like,
I wouldn't let you live it down.
But I've been, like I said, my cousin Anna, who you met when we were this last week, when she was little, she would usually come up here during the summertime for a week and stay at my parents' place, and I would always take her. We would go 2 places. We would go to Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
And we'd go to Toys R Us.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was just
well, you should.
I mean, literally, it was, okay, we're going to do this. And we did that until she was like 11 or 12 years old or something like that, you know. And it was funny because I remember the first time that I didn't take her to Toys R Us. Like, she said something about it to like her mom later. Like, it's like, no, we didn't go to Toys R Us. You know, it's like, she's 13 years old. I'm like, I figured you probably don't want to go any longer, you know. Of course, you know, she's grown up to be, you know, a great geek girl, you know, on top of it all. But yeah, that was just kind of,
hooray for geek girls.
I remember, but at that time, sitting there and just being like, this is not Showbiz Pizza. Yeah. Like, this just is not. She doesn't ever remember a time where there was a Showbiz Pizza place.
Yeah.
My kids will never remember a time when there was a Showbiz Pizza place.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's sad, but at the same time, I'm like, there's enough of artifacts of it left around to where, you know, these 45s or you know, random YouTube videos.
As long as you don't get the Bubba Sparks version.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's the other thing is that the commercials that they used to run. You know,
like, I know them all.
I can still sing. You know, it's like, you never seen a place like Showbiz Pizza. Place will serve you a pizza second to none. So come for the pizza, stay for the fun. You know, types. And then there was,
I remember the commercials. I never got to go to one.
Now, what was really funny is that, like, because they were the same company, like, later on, with them and Chuck E. Cheese, there was the, you know, it's like, you know, Showbiz Pizza, you can act like a kid, you can have more fun than you ever did.
It's where a kid
there's
can be
games
a kid.
And there's games that go and you'll flip your lid. Showbiz Pizza, where kid can be a fit. Well, they had a Chuck E. Cheese version of that also. Where it's like, Chuck E. Cheese's, where kid can. I was like, I remember the first time seeing that, going, no, this is wrong.
Yep.
And you know, it's just, I loved Showbiz Pizza Place. I will always love Showbiz Pizza Place. I'm probably not going to go as far as to put any of its branding on me permanently, like I have some other stuff.
You mean like the Toys R Us?
Like the Toys R Us, I know, or the, you know, the Snake Eyes tattoo, or the, you know, the Pac-Man tattoos or whatever. But it is a part of growing up in the 80s. You know, it made perfect sense that pizza parlor came to be during the 1980s and thrived all the way through the 80s and then died out immediately in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And was replaced by an inferior version of everything, which was perfect for a lot of what happened from the 90s on with everything. We have been inundated with inferior versions of everything we grew up with. Pretty much in our adult lives. So
tell us how you really feel. I'm not sure I quite get it, and I'm kind of not looking forward to the next time we see the guys from Grown Up Gen X. Well, I think George may come after
George.
You
I know, and the thing is part of the reason that I said that about the, you know, at the panel about you know, going to a Showbiz Pizza and it being the superior pizza is because that has come up several times on their podcast. That's kind of been an ongoing. George maintains that Chuck E. Cheese is the superior one, and then, like, I think it's John is always like saying that Showbiz is the superior, and so it's one of those things where I'm like, no, I'm Team Showbiz. I will always be Team Showbiz. Billy Bob forever. Okay, it's just like
okay, I get you. I understand. I just. You know, I don't have one to pick from. I don't have a dog in this fight.
Well,
now if it came to like Chicago deep dish, then I might fight you. And
you want to get into some other pizza places. I mean, which we talked a little bit about.
I mean, I'm super stoked that there's actually a Geno's East here in Nashville now. So,
have you had
312? 312 is good pizza, but there's a difference. There's a couple different styles of Chicago style pizza. One has cornmeal in the crust. One has corn oil in the crust, and 312 is doing the corn oil thing.
Yeah, you lost me like 4 sentences ago there. So have you had Hungry Howie's?
I've never even heard of that.
Hungry Howie's. I had only heard about it because of it's a chain. I don't know that it's a national chain, but it's definitely a regional chain of pizza place, and it's just a regular pizza parlor, you know, type thing, like, you know, Domino's or whatever.
Yeah.
CC's or, we haven't even talked about CC's Pizza, and that's a whole other thing. Or Mr. Gaddy's. You remember Mr. Gaddy's?
No, don't you badmouth Gaddy's.
I'm not. I loved Gaddy's.
I will.
Gaddy's was awesome. Okay, and we should talk about Mr. Gaddy's here in just a second. But Hungry Howie's is kind of one of those where it's, but they moved in here and into the Nashville area a couple of years ago, and I've had them, and they're not bad. They're kind of that. It's pizza. It's like no, this is good. This is not. I mean, I've definitely had much worse pizza.
You mean it's not offensive like CC's?
Yeah. Oh God, CC's is. I don't like eating any place that has a pizza buffet, because what you wind up doing is you wind up with a bunch of kids there who run through and just like put their fingers all over everything up on the buffet, like all the food, all the whatever. It's like, I'm not eating that.
CC's is kind of on par with Chuck E. Cheese pizza.
CC's is also one of those places that I have not eaten there a bunch of times, but every time that I have, within half an hour of leaving, I am in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, no ifs, ands, buts. Like, it doesn't matter if I have one piece or I have 10 pieces. It's the same every time. So, so everybody knows that.
let's get to Gaddy's. Don't
all right, Mr. Gaddy's. I'm not.
Because Miss Nay will come after you.
No, we had a local Mr. Gaddy's here, like a lot of places did, and it was a weird like.
What was that little mall that was over
Harding
Mall? There was one in Harding Mall, and that's the one that my wife went to.
Well, there was one that was at Rivergate for the longest time. It sat around Rivergate Parkway.
Yeah.
And that place was kind of cool because they did have the buffet. Like, you could go in there and get the buffet.
But they also had a really good game room.
And they also had a really good salad bar on top of it all.
Oh, yeah, I forgot
and they would
about
always
that.
And they would have like the big screen. They would always showing, usually, football on Sundays or whatever, but they would run movies, they would show whatever, type stuff.
On Saturdays it was any Gaddy's I went to as a kid or grown up.
Right.
On Saturdays, it was playing football.
Right.
That's where the adults went to eat pizza and drink beer,
and watch
and
football.
The kids would go over and play video games.
Right. And again, they didn't have a ton of video games. Like, they might have had like 4 or 5 machines or something, but they always had good stuff.
4 or 5 machines?
Yeah. This one over here did. That was they might have had 4 or 5 machines.
The ones that I went to had more than that.
Their game room was maybe, I don't know, half the size of that.
The ones I went to, I remember there being like 8 or 9 machines.
Yeah, not the one that I went to. Now, I did not go there to play video games. That was just an added, we can go do this. It was, they had good pizza. And the thing is, they came back a few years ago.
Yeah, for a little while.
But every one of them that I saw, they were always like in a convenience store. It wasn't a full restaurant or anything. It was like, we have Mr. Gaddy's Pizza. It's like, this isn't Mr. Gaddy's Pizza. This is no.
No, see, the part of Kentucky I'm from, in the gas, around here it's all Hunt Brothers.
Right.
I've never seen Gaddy's in a gas station. Where I was from up in Kentucky, it was always Godfather's Pizza in the gas stations.
Godfather's. Yeah, that makes me remember. There was a Godfather's Pizza here, like an actual sit down restaurant. Yeah. Godfather's. People also kind of forget about Pizza Inn.
No, I totally don't forget about Pizza Inn, because my senior year in high school in Hendersonville.
Yeah, I remember that Pizza Inn. It was
Well, I had senior dismissal. And after senior dismissal, school was out, and then I had to go over back to the school to do band practice.
Right.
Because I was in the drum line, and after school it was. So me and 2 or 3 other guys that had senior dismissal, which means we got out an hour earlier than everybody else. We would literally hop in the car and run across the street and hit the buffet about 20 minutes before it was ending.
Okay.
And we would shut down the buffet and then have to go back and usually throw our guts up from where we did this pizza.
I remember there was a Pizza Inn here at Rivergate Mall.
Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't at the mall. It was before you get one of the where the Home Depot, over in that
area.
Yeah. And again, it was one of those things. It was in that strip mall over there, and it was good. I remember the pizza being better than Pizza Hut.
The pizza was good.
Yeah, I remember the pizza being really good at Pizza Inn.
First place I discovered dessert pizza.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was the chocolate. It was basically chocolate pudding that was put on a pizza crust.
Well, there was that one. Then they had a chocolate chip cookie type thing.
Yeah, I remember when they did the vanilla. Oh, dude, it was so good. Oh. It was so good. I love vanilla though. I mean, that's but I remember when they did I liked the chocolate, but whenever the vanilla, I was like, oh, give me all that. And most people were like, nah, you can have all. I was like, no, seriously, I will take all of it. Yeah. You know, it's a.
The one thing I do remember when we first moved to town is there was still an Uno's Pizza in Rivergate.
Uno's was still here, yeah.
And I liked going to Uno's because their pizza was good.
Yeah, there's. You know, you go back and you look at, like, we're just talking pizza now. You go back and okay, you remember...
Sorry, it's all I got.
You remember when Little Caesars first came around and it was the pizza, like you would buy one and get one free?
I've told this story, I don't know how many times on this podcast.
But that was a huge thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a huge thing. Like, oh, you mean you get 2 pizzas for the price of one, you know?
Yeah.
And honestly, the pizza wasn't bad back then either.
The pizza was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was believe it or not, Little Caesars was headquartered in Hendersonville.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
But you know, living in Illinois,
I know they were big in Illinois because I remember seeing the commercials on WGN all the time.
Yes,
that was a huge thing, you know, with the up through there.
Yeah,
and
we didn't really have like an official Little Caesars. It was like attached to the local movie store.
And that's cool.
The counter was up front. And you would go in and you would order your pizzas.
Right.
While the pizzas were cooking, you'd go to the back and pick out your movies. Mm-hmm. And you go up front, you pay for the whole thing, and go home.
Well, the original Little Caesars that was here, is still there, but it's something else now.
Okay.
It has been after Little Caesars, because Little Caesars pulled out of this area completely in the early 90s somewhere. Yeah. They've only come back in the last decade or so, and now they're all like they're driving. You know, they were never going in and sit down places. They were, you would call in and you could walk in and get them, or they would deliver it to you. You know, usually, actually, no. I remember when they first moved in here.
I've never known a Little Caesars
wasn't
to deliver.
They do deliver now, but
it was always come get it.
Right, and it was always you had to go inside. You know, it was a walk up place. It shut down for years, or it shut down, but then I guess whoever owned the franchise or whatever just moved right into being a Roma's Pizza.
Okay.
And I think it's still Roma's. If it's not, it's something else that's food related. The inside of it still looks the same. It still has the same tile on the walls and the floors and everything.
Yeah.
And we're talking that's been there almost 40 years.
Why redecorate when all anybody cares about is how does it taste?
And it's kind of cool that it's still there because like there's a cool little Chinese restaurant right down the center, like on the corner. Right? Okay. And then there's just another place that opened right in between the two here recently that I have not tried out yet. That is some kind of seafood place.
Oh, that could be
good or it could be really bad. I know, but I'm kind of curious.
In the bathroom, sick, really bad.
I'm kind of curious with it though, where I'm like, I'm gonna go try it and check it out one of these days. You know? The cool thing about it is that Little Caesars Pizza, it's over. We talk about the Great Escape quite a bit, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was right down in that same center where the Great Escape originally was, like back behind. You know, back behind the Burger King.
Yeah.
So it literally was one of those things that you could order. You know, you order the pizza, drive over there. I could go to the Great Escape, run in there real quick, grab stuff, and then go over and pick up the pizza and go. Or at the time, there was also a video store on the very far end of that center. It was right up the strip of that. Yeah. So it was one of those things. Again, it was kind of you order the pizza, or you call the pizza in, you go pick up videotapes, you run down, walk down, pick up the pizza, and then you're gone.
Yeah.
So it was kind of one of those things where that was always just a cool, you know, strip malls are such a weird thing.
Yeah,
but I don't know any other way to state that, because strip malls are either the saddest thing you've ever seen,
or it's the coolest conglomeration of things.
I know.
It's like, oh, we can hit this and we can do that and we can hit here and we can do that.
Way back then, the other thing that was in there that was kind of cool was there was a Radio Shack.
Oh, I miss Radio Shack.
So there was a Radio Shack, a Little Caesars, the Great Escape, and a video store, like all right there, like, you know, and of course they weren't like right side by side, but they was like
close enough.
They were close enough to where it's like, all right, this is kind of cool, you know, and of course, you know, most of that stuff's gone now or it's moved. You know, Great Escape's still in that vicinity, but it's not in that same location.
It's in its own standalone building.
It grew, and then it outgrew that building even, and it's in an old Hollywood Video now, so it's like, all right, this is cool.
I really miss Radio Shack, though. I'm not even going to lie.
Every once in a while, I need a component of something, and I'm like, God, I wish Radio Shack still existed, because yes, I can get it off of Amazon or eBay or any number of places on the internet, but the thing is that if I need it, I need it right now. Exactly.
I don't need to wait 2 to 3 business days for Amazon to decide, and they might want to ship it to me sometime next month.
Exactly. So that I knew, we've gone way off topic here. Actually, no. I guess because of the animatronics, you would have to shopped it.
It was all air driven.
Yeah, that was something I'd forgotten about until I watched. I watched this last night.
Yeah.
That all of that was it was compressed air.
Yeah,
is what did everything. It's like, wow, that's, again, seeing all that 80s tech. And that's something we didn't talk about Grand Old Gaming Expo, was the computer room where they had all the... Oh,
you mean Southern Fried?
Yeah, that's what did I say?
You said Grand Old.
Yeah, sorry.
The Southern Fried Gaming Expo. Was the vintage computer room.
Yeah, and they did. I mean, they had like old Tandies, and they had the Tandy, was it the TS180?
No, TSR80.
TSR80, that's what it was. And that was the Radio Shack exclusively sold Tandy computers.
Yeah.
It was a PC compatible. It's funny because at the time it was IBM compatible, because IBM was like the leader.
Speaking of IBM, they had an IBM 5150 there.
They did. You know what they didn't have?
They had an XT Turbo, which is what I grew up having to do word processing.
Of course, they had a Commodore 64. They also
had
had
a slew of Commodore 64. They also
64. I did notice they had the VIC-20 in there, which was actually the predecessor to the...
Yeah, they did.
Now, 2 things they didn't have that I was kind of like, oh, okay. They did have the Apple IIe, and with the little green monitor, and all that kind of stuff. The 2 things I was a little bit disappointed with, and had I known, I could have supplied one of them, was the old Texas Instruments, the TI-99 TI-99A. It's like
You've got one of those?
I've got one of those here. Yeah, I picked it up like years ago at a thrift store for like $10 or something.
Does it turn on and run?
I don't know. I haven't tried it. So,
Ooh.
But it's got all the manuals and everything with it. It doesn't have the box, but it has the manuals and all that stuff.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
The other one that they didn't have, talking about IBMs, remember the PC Junior? It was a short run, like just a few years. It was one of those things. You had the IBM PC, okay?
Yeah.
And then they came out with this thing called the PC Junior. The PC Junior was supposed to be their response to the Macintosh.
Okay.
Where it was going to be more, because people forget that when Steve Jobs created the Macintosh, he created that as an educational
device.
Apparatus, device. Like that was their big thing. They were wanting to get this stuff into schools,
right? Because if you catch them young enough and you train them on certain,
exactly, and that was the whole thing. Especially back then, there were people who knew a crap ton about about an Apple computer who could not even like sit down and look at a PC and know what was going on, and vice versa.
Right.
It wasn't just simple like, oh, this is a left click instead of a right click, or it's called.
Well, IBM called return. At that point didn't even have a click.
It's called.
They stole the mouse from Macintosh.
Yeah, or it's called return instead of enter, or whatever. The little stuff like that. It's it wasn't even that. It was like, no, there is the DOS ran on PC, and then Apple had their own thing.
Well, that's not exactly true, because no, you're right.
No, it was
right, because
it was MS-DOS. Is what it was.
It was the TRS-80 that I learned to do DOS on,
right?
Which I couldn't do DOS now if my life.
Yeah, no, not mine. Yeah, exactly. And I could do a little bit, very little bit. But, the PC Junior was kind of IBM's. Okay, and that was the whole thing. That was at that time in the early to mid 80s. IBM was PC.
Yeah,
like they were the PC computer, and then eventually PC, because all the clones that came out.
Yeah,
the PC just became its own thing.
Like the biggest one that got cloned a lot was that IBM XT Turbo.
Right.
Because the clones for the XT Turbo were everywhere.
And then once that started happening, IBM no longer had the market
No.
on any of that, and it just became a PC.
Well,
And,
then you had Microsoft step in.
Oh yeah, Microsoft is such an interesting story because basically, at the founding of Microsoft, they had nothing to sell whatsoever. Basically, Bill Gates, and what was his partner's
Steve
name?
Wozniak.
No, Wozniak.
That's Apple. Sorry,
Jobs and Wozniak are Apple. I know I did the same thing here.
I'm really tired.
But no, Bill Gates, and I can't remember his partner's name, basically sold a program, an operating system that didn't exist, on a spec, is basically what it was. It's like, we have this idea.
They were selling on spec.
Yeah, pretty much.
Brilliant.
And
that explains so much about Windows.
Yeah, I know. But it was one of those things that they sold it and they're like, well, now we got to go create it, and they did, which was, I got to say, is pretty brilliant on their part. To be able to deliver something that was workable, and that was MS DOS. That was the whole, because remember, prior to MS DOS, everything was still on the computer punch cards. That was still a thing, was those punch cards.
Oh, I know, because my father-in-law worked with those.
Yeah, and so...
Do you ever have to register with those things
No.
at Vol State?
Oh, yeah, I did. Way back in the day. Yeah, I did. I completely forgotten about that until you just said it now. That was almost 30 years ago. But yeah, so it's really interesting. It's funny because, again, at the time, I was not a computer person at all. I'm still not a huge computer person. I know enough. Like most people, I learned to use a computer eventually.
Yeah.
But I was not one of those I was not an early adapter. We had an Apple IIe that my grandfather and my grandfather bought it, but it was for the company, and it was one of those things that they were going to try to do all their accounting on it or whatever. Eventually, it wound up here after a few years, and that's when we had started doing some. We had a whole quote unquote computer lab full of the PC juniors, because that's what our school went with, But I remember when that Apple was here, having friends who also had Apple computers and them giving me copied floppy disks. These were the floppy disks.
$5.25
of different games and that kind of stuff. And I knew enough to be able to go in and look at the code. Yeah. Because I had learned enough of it, I can go here for the index, or I can do this. Because that was a billion years ago. I couldn't do it now,
No.
But we did. We had one of those little Apple IIes with the disk drive and with the had the green, whatever.
Oregon Trail.
I played a lot of Oregon Trail and a lot of other games well.
There was another one that I played.
You know what I played on that? Leisure Suit Larry.
Oh wow, that's a blast from the past.
And that was a friend. My friend Baxter gave me a copy of it because he had gotten it somewhere. I think mine was a copy of a copy. It was just hey, this is a cool game, and it was all right.
There was another one that we played that it was kind of like a business game. It was like Oil Magnet or something like that. You would buy and sell barrels of oil.
Yeah.
And the idea was to get as rich as possible.
I remember getting this game, and a few years ago, I finally found what the name of it was. Of course, I've forgotten what it is now. But it was this game that I had actually purchased through the Scholastic book fair thing that they did, and it was this weird game where you're a detective, but it's this weird thing where you have to collect crystals that aliens are dropping,
this sounds really familiar.
And it's one of those things where the crystals, when they drop them, they start growing, and so you can pick up more of them. But in order to grow them, you have to have at least two, because they have to be next to each other. Then they'll start splitting, type stuff. But then you have to get them before the aliens do, or before they get you. And I remember a lot of you had to jump on trains to go to the next city, and I cannot for the life of me. I can see it in my head.
It sounds really familiar.
I can see it, and if the guys at Gen X Grown Up John, if you're listening to this, I'm sure that you probably are like screaming what it is at this point. But again, I don't think it was exclusive to the Apple, but I played it on an Apple, and for the longest time, I tried to find one of those computers just because I'd like to have it again, just as a,
Apple IIe?
Yeah.
Good luck. Hope you hit the lottery.
They're expensive as everything now. And I remember like us giving ours away in like the early 90s because the thing, it was just...
What?
It wasn't worth anything at the time. It was one of those things, the Macintosh had already been out and everything had moved to PC. And, now the thing about it is that when I used to go through thrift stores all the time, when I was doing the flea market and stuff, that's where I got that TI-99A. But I also wound up picking up a Macintosh 2 that's, it's basically a triangle, not a triangle, but actually I had two different ones that I picked up that was all the complete, like it was, you had the monitor built in the top of it, and the disk drives were in the bottom, and then you have to hook up the rudimentary early mouse as well as the keyboard. And I wound up buying one of them that kicked on, but I didn't have the mouse or the keyboard to it, but it did power up. And then the other one I wound up picking up, it powers on, but the case is cracked and the monitor won't come on. But I have everything to it, and I've kind of wondered if it might not be worth going in and trying to figure out how to fix that monitor. But I haven't looked at it in a long time. So, how did we get to early home computers from Showbiz Pizza Place?
Because you had mentioned the computer room at the Southern Fried
That's
Ham
right.
Convention,
That's right.
But I have no idea how we got there.
It's
turned into a rambling gumbo.
Who knows?
Again.
Yeah, see, we're so good at those. Yeah, did you like that rambling gumbo? That was you throw a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And that's how you make gumbo. You throw what do we got? Throw it in there.
It's just got okra and some other vegetables and some shrimp.
Gotta have shrimp.
Yep,
shrimp. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening to us ramble here. I think the Benadryl kicked in, and I'm like loopy as all crap right now.
Yeah, you're starting to look a little stoned over there, my friend.
Benadryl knocks me for a loop, and I needed it because my allergies have just been so bad here lately. Anyways, share your, like I said, we're going to put pictures of these LPs up on Instagram, and but definitely share with us your experiences with Showbiz Pizza, and I will even allow a little bit of Chuck E. Cheese, but not much. We have a limit. And
you bribe me with enough Geno's East, and I'll let whatever you want to talk about on there.
Oh, dude, there was this last one, I promise. There was a place here in the middle of Madison when I was a kid. It was called Luigi's Pizza.
Okay.
It was. I would have to take you. I can tell you. I can take you to the exact place where it used to be. Yeah. But it really was. It was a little like you walk in, and it was it looked like a little pizza parlor. You walk in one big room. You walk at the counters at the very back, and there was probably like, I don't know, half a dozen tables in it or something like that. And usually it was pick up. I don't think they actually delivered, but I remember going there, and that was another one of the early, like they had a Pac-Man machine like early on that was in that place. And so I used to whenever we would order Luigi's Pizza, I always wanted to go with Dad to pick it up because I wanted to see if I could play Pac-Man for 30 seconds before I lost all my lives or whatever it was, because I was really bad at it. But I loved the game. And now that I've rambled on that for a little while. But that was a local place, and that's some of the local places so good.
The place we had in Illinois was called Mr. Pizza. The thing about it was a big sit-down restaurant, had the screens in it, it had some games in it. But the thing that they would do is they had a party pizza.
Okay.
And the party pizza was a 20-inch that was like as big around as this green portion on this poker table.
Okay.
It was huge, and it was all square cut. And, you'd have your parties in there, and you'd get like a couple of those party pizzas and feed everybody.
Oh, dude, yeah. There was a place at Rivergate for a while.
That was the first place I heard Lita Ford's Kiss Me Deadly.
Nice. There was a place at Rivergate for a very short amount of time. I think it was called Pizza Under Construction or something like that. And it literally was you built your own pizza.
Oh, I hate those places.
It was like you would go in and they would have all the stuff there, and then you would hand it to them, and they would
No.
They would weigh it or whatever it was, and then they would cook it for you. It was pretty good, but of course, I just put way too much cheese on it, and Oh, dude, a friend of mine when I was in high school he was a couple of years older than me, but he worked for Pizza Hut, and he came to the school one day. Because like I said, he was a couple of years old. I think I was a senior in high school. He had been out for a couple of years or something.
Sure.
He was like, hey, can I come up there? Like, I'll bring pizza. Like, sure, no big deal, I'm not joking, dude. When he got there, we walked out to his car. He was like, hey, I need you to come help me, bring the pizzas in. I'm like, sure. He handed me the 2 boxes of pizza that he had. I'm not joking when I say these things weighed 10 pounds.
Wow.
Because and he was telling me, he's like, basically what they could make their own pizzas at work.
Yeah.
And so what they would do is that they would make them thick. He's like, no joke, both of those pizzas, he's like, I had to send them through twice. Like, I sent them through with, cheese and everything on it, and then brought it back out, put more stuff on top of it, and sent it through the second time so they would be cooked all the way. Oh, dude, I'm telling you, like, you would eat like one piece of that pizza, and it's like, no, dude, I'm good for a week now. They were just...
All right, I'm calling it. That's it. No more stories.
All right, that's it. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening to us talk about just pizza and computers and video games and Showbiz Pizza and Chuck E. Cheese, and I don't know what else did we cover this time. The Rock of Fire Explosion documentary, which we will have... Believe me, I will put together a cool playlist on YouTube. With that documentary, as well as a bunch of videos that people have posted up about the Rock Fire Explosion and Showbiz Pizza. But yeah, if you would like to get in touch with us, you can do it on Discord. You can do it through Instagram. You can do it through the Facebook page, or you
Facebook page is kind of making a little resurgence.
Or you can email us. All the links will be for all of that stuff in our show notes. So make sure and go over there and check it out. And thank you so much for sticking around and listening to.
We appreciate it.
To me, ramble and
tell your friends. Tell your enemies.
Yeah.
Tell some random guy walking down the street.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have we've got something new in the pipeline.
We hope.
No, we do, because we've already paid for half of it, and
yes,
and also we're looking into getting stickers and a few other things, and maybe even if we get we might have some T-shirts coming. We'll see. We'll see. We're still looking.
We got to find some that are Fat Man rated.
Dave, when we started talking about doing T-shirts, Dave was like, "We are going to make sure that there are 5 and 6XL." It's like, okay, that's fine.
we gotta take care of the fat guys, because I am one.
There you go. So I am Alan Smith.
I'm the other guy, Big Dave,
and we will see you next time.
See ya.